Okay, so as a public health researcher, I want to talk about something that's way closer than you might think. We're not just talking about plastic bottles on a beach anymore. We're talking about an invisible invader, one that's made the journey from the outside world right into our bodies.
And that question right there completely changes the game. For so long, we've seen this as an environmental problem, but the conversation is shifting. It's moving from what's in our oceans to what's actually inside of us. This right here, this shows you the heart of the problem. That plastic bag you see snagged in a tree, it doesn't just disappear. It breaks down into these tiny, microscopic particles, and those particles go on a journey through our water, our air, our food, and that journey ends inside us.
So how exactly does this invasion even happen? Well, it's not random. It's a pretty direct chain of events that connects pollution on a global scale to our own personal health. Let's trace that path together.
It all starts with the plastic waste we see all around us. The stuff in our oceans, our rivers, and just on the land. The sun, the wind, the water, they all work together to break this plastic down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. And these are what we call microplastics. And this is where things get tricky, because from there, they find all sorts of ways to get to us. They're so small that fish and other animals eat them, which means they end up in our food chain. But it's not just that. They also get kicked up into the air. So we're not just eating them, we're literally breathing them in.
And that's the final stop, inside of us. This is direct exposure. And the scary part is, they don't just pass right through. We're now seeing research that shows they can build up, they can accumulate in our most important organs, our lungs, our heart, our liver. You get the picture.
Okay, so they're in our bodies. That's alarming enough, right? But the real question, from my perspective as a researcher, is so what? What does the actual scientific evidence say about the harm they can cause?
Well, we basically break down the potential health impacts into three main buckets. It's not just one single threat, it's more like a three-pronged attack: chemical, physical, and biological. First up, you've got the chemical risks. See, plastics aren't just plastic. They have all these chemical additives mixed in, and those can leach out. We're talking stuff linked to reproductive problems, allergies, even cancer. And on top of that, microplastics are like tiny sponges, soaking up other nasty things like heavy metals from the environment, and then delivering them straight into our bodies. Then there are the physical risks. I mean, just the simple fact that these tiny foreign particles are in places they shouldn't be can cause a lot of problems. If you breathe them in, they're connected to things like respiratory disease and inflammation. If you eat them, they can cause inflammation in your gut, damage your cells, that's what cytotoxicity is, and just generally mess with your body systems. And the third one, which is kind of creepy, is biological. Think of a microplastic particle as a little raft. Nasty bacteria and pathogens can basically hitch a ride on them, using the plastic to travel deep inside your body where they could cause infections. So, this brings up a really important question. Now that we know about all these specific health risks, does that knowledge actually change how we behave? Well, some researchers in Germany had the exact same thought. They set up a fascinating study to see if simply telling people about the personal health risks could be a powerful tool for change. And what they did was actually super smart and simple. First, they asked a group of students how willing they were to cut down on plastic. Then they taught them all about the health risks, the stuff we've just been talking about. And after that, they asked them the same question again. And the results? Well, this quote from their paper pretty much says it all. It worked. Connecting plastic pollution directly to their own personal health made the students way more motivated to change their habits. And that's the real kicker, right? So many of us care about the environment, but sometimes the threat can feel, a little distant. But when you frame it around your own body, your own health, it suddenly becomes very real, very personal, and that's a powerful motivator. And this all leads us to the final and I think most important takeaway from all of this. When we face these huge global problems, our minds immediately jump to some new technology or some big government policy to fix it. And don't get me wrong, those things are absolutely vital. But what if one of the most powerful tools we have is actually information? Just clear, direct communication that connects the dots between a plastic bottle and what could be happening inside our own bodies. And this is why it matters to you, because knowledge isn't just a passive thing you have. Being aware of these risks gives you power. It gives you the motivation to make different choices every single day, whether that's what you buy or how you vote.
So, we're gonna end where we started, with a question. But this time, it's for you. Knowing what you know now about this invisible journey and the very real risks to your health, what's one thing you might change?